Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Ross Rundown. I'm your host, Matt Harrelson. Alongside with me for the ride, as usual, Brandon Fall. Hey, gonna have a good week?
Hey, man. Glad to have you. How about you?
I know you've seen a lot of basketball over the last 7 days.
I have. Still hoarse from several days ago.
Yes, and we'll get to that here in just a few moments. But let's talk about basketball. Obviously, the biggest news in the Carolinas right now, anyway, the NBA All-Star Weekend's coming up starting tonight. And, of course, we're going to let you know what all is going on in the Queen City over the weekend. So, as I just mentioned, it's starting tonight, 7 o'clock, the celebrity game. I don't really care who's in this. I don't know that most people do. But we'll move past that. So
it's the most affordable part of the weekend if you want to go to that.
Perhaps. Let's get to the professionals, though. After that, at 9 p.m. is going to be the Rising Stars Challenge.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And usually this is, they used to do it, it was rookies versus second-year players.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over the last 4 or 5 years, they've gone to U.S. versus World, and it's just a mixture of first and second-year players. So this year, just a couple of the notable players on the World team is Dallas Mavericks rookie and sensation Luka Doncic. Also 76ers star Ben Simmons and DeAndre Ayton, the Phoenix Suns big man and #1 overall pick this last year. On the U.S. team, you've got Donovan Mitchell, former Louisville Cardinal, who's from the Jazz, former Dookie, Jason Tatum on the Celtics, and Kyle Kuzma from the Lakers. So obviously that's not the whole squad, but you want to take a stab at who you think will win?
Well, I'm going with the Americans. I'm going with the U.S. players.
Yeah, I want to, but I'm not going to.
So, I mean, that may be heart more than head.
Yeah, I'm going to take the World team. You know, and actually, the U.S. team's like a 2-point favorite, but it's basketball. So
that's
what's 2 points?
Which basically means it's a toss-up.
Absolutely.
That's right.
On Saturday, so tomorrow night at 8 p.m. will be the skills competition. We've also got the 3-point contest. Now, Devin Booker actually won this last year from the Suns. However, Steph Curry's in it. Is it his to lose?
Is Klay Thompson in it as well?
I don't think so.
I think it's Steph Curry's to lose.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there's 2 Curry brothers. Steph's in it and his brother Seth.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Larry Bird not in it?
No.
Okay,
no. Although I feel like if Larry was, he could probably
I think
still
he'd have
win
a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And then perhaps the most popular thing from All-Star Weekend, the dunk contest.
Oh, yeah.
Also going to be Saturday night. Now, this actually has kind of a North Carolina feel to it. I don't know if they did this on purpose because the game's in Charlotte, but there's 4 participants in it. I'll start with the one that doesn't have any ties to North Carolina. Hamidou Diallo, who's from Oklahoma City, who was a player at Kentucky. I think he only played there 1 year. Freakish athlete, kind of raw, though. But anyway, after that, you've got Miles Bridges from the Hornets.
Great dunker, by the way.
Absolutely. Having a good year, too.
Yeah, he is.
John Collins from the Hawks, who played at Wake Forest. And Dennis Smith Jr., the newly Nick, of course, NC State alum.
Really good player. And I think that I think that probably is definitely intentional for the hometown crowd, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I thought Dennis Smith, he's a guard. Obviously,
he can get up.
Can he get up? Okay,
all
right.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the dunk contest, and we'll recap this next week, is all about bringing in costumes and other players and props and all that kind of stuff now. So it'd be interesting to see what they do over the weekend. Want to take a stab at this one?
I'm going to go for the upset and go Dennis Smith.
All right. Yeah. I want to take Miles Bridges because, he's the Charlotte Hornet guy. I'm actually going to take John Collins. I remember watching him for 2 years at Wake Forest. He's a really good player.
Yeah, really good. Just because he was at Wake Forest, people forget about him.
Yeah, 6'10", 6'11", somewhere in there. He's not going to have much trouble getting up. So I'm going to take John Collins, former Demon Deacon. Right. And then, of course, you got the big game. That's going to be, I think it's also Saturday night. Actually, I think that's Sunday night. That's going to be Sunday night. Now, they've completely changed how this format works. It used to be East versus West, of course.
Yeah, now they pick them.
Yeah, now whoever the top 2 vote getters are do a playground-style pick 'em thing. Of course, that's always going to be LeBron, I feel like, as long as he's in the league.
That's right.
Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. And, by the way, Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be the next huge star in the NBA.
Yes, he is. God, wouldn't it be awesome when next time he's a free agent, the Hornets could get him?
Yeah, although I would imagine Milwaukee will literally break the bank to keep him.
That's right.
However, look, the All-Star game, it doesn't matter. No defense is going to be played.
None.
The final score will be 180 to 183 or something. But I think more importantly, if you take a look at the guys that LeBron picked, 5 of his first 6 picks were Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, and Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
And all 5 of those guys have
to
something in common.
They all happen to be free agents.
Exactly. Do you think there's any method to that madness?
Without a doubt. He's trying to get some time with these guys and get in their ear during All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, and
without
a
doubt.
Obviously they're all buddies outside of it, and I'm sure they all talk. I don't know if you call it tampering, but if you think these guys don't speak to each other outside
absolutely. That's insane.
You're crazy. But this is not a coincidence.
No, not at all.
There's no way that 5 out of the first 6 picks are all potential free agents.
It could be his teammates next year.
Absolutely. With that being said, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the full squads here.
I have not.
But who you think might win, LeBron or Giannis's team?
I'm going for LeBron's team.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's going to
do. It's hard to pick against LeBron on anything.
I will say this, wrapping all of this up before we move on. It's probably too late now, but shouldn't LeBron James have at some point in his career done the dunk contest?
Yes. That's shocking that he never did a dunk contest. With the power and athleticism, I mean, I think he would have won one.
And I wonder, I don't think he's ever come out and saying, I wonder if the reason he didn't want to do it is the potential to getting injured. But still, all the greats, especially back in the day, did the dunk contest, and obviously MJ comes to mind.
I remember Michael Jordan and Dominique from '88.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I remember being a teenager watching that and how much I loved it.
And look, I mean, I love watching MJ jump from the free throw line, and Dominique did the windmill. Yeah. And back then, that was cool.
That was cool.
Now all these guys can do that.
Yeah. I mean, a 6'3" guard can do that.
Yeah. So I think LeBron's calling you to put you on the
right.
So I mean, I really feel like since he's been in the league now for, what is it, 15 years or something, it feels like he could have at some point, probably earlier in his career, done it, never did it. I don't understand why. So LeBron, Brand hung up on you, but call him back later so we can find out why you're not doing the dunk contest. Let's move down to the college level. Of course, get back on Tobacco Road. Duke, let's start there. 10-1 overall, 22-2. Probably going to be a number 1 seed unless something happens. I don't know exactly what that could be. But they ended up beating Virginia, a really good Virginia team, pretty handedly, 81-71 since we last
I didn't think it was that close, honestly.
It wasn't.
I didn't think that game was ever in doubt in the second half.
It wasn't. And, I said last week, if they're able to score 60 points on Virginia, they'll win, and they did that and then some.
Easily,
perhaps more impressive, though, was their latest game against Louisville.
Did you see that the other night?
Down by 25.
Oh, my gosh.
And we're able to come back and beat them 71-69. So is that more of Duke's really good and just kind of started slow, or is Louisville a little overrated? Because Louisville was ranked too.
Yeah, they were ranked 16th going in that game. Now, I didn't watch the game that night. I did talk to my son the next day, and he didn't watch it either. I don't know if it's a complete collapse. I mean, it had to be some of both. I mean, when I checked the score that night before I went to bed, they were up 20.
Yeah.
Louisville was, and then I checked it again right before I set my alarm that night, and they were up 8. Duke's going to win this game.
And it makes me wonder, how is Louisville able to jump out that big against a really good Duke team? Or perhaps the question is, how is Duke able to come back from 25?
That's amazing.
I know basketball is a game of runs, but that's a heck of a run.
That's a great run to end a ball game.
Absolutely. So up next for Dukies is I shouldn't keep calling them Dukies, but
that's what they are.
I'm the host. I can do
That's right.
Up next, they've got NC State on Saturday. Now, I would sit here and say that's an easy win, but that's a rivalry game, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Kind of throw that out the window.
Oh yeah. And Keats is doing a good job with State. I mean, they've had a couple tough losses.
Yeah.
But I think he's got them on the right track, and they'll be up for that game.
All right.
I think they'll be competitive.
And then, of course, actually, let's hold off on next Wednesday's matchup because next we're going to talk about UNC. 9-2 overall, so we're going to get to that loss here to Virginia in just a second, but that now bumps them off the top line as far as being in the ACC. But 9-2, 19-5 overall. They came in ranked 8th. I would imagine they probably won't drop too far.
No, not too much. I mean, that game that was a wash on the line. I mean, so for them not to be favored at home, shows what people think of Virginia, and I don't think that'll hurt them too much in the rankings.
So Tar Heels beat Miami 88-85 earlier in the week, then lost to Virginia 69-61. Now, you were at this game, so you had up close and personal coverage of it. So what happened?
Virginia, okay, I'm not going to slam Virginia's defense because it's great. Virginia does what Virginia did what Virginia does. I mean, they played great defense. They guarded. However, Carolina had a bunch of shots that were good looks and just didn't go down. They could not shoot well. Now, a lot of that was because of the pressure they were getting from Virginia. Yeah. Granted, but if they shoot anything better than 35%, they have a chance of winning. It was still a winnable game. 4 minutes ago, they were tied.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And as we were talking a couple of days ago, that was definitely a winnable game for the Tar Heels.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, I don't think that this is going to hurt the Tar Heels too much moving forward. And looking forward, we've got Wake Forest this Saturday. That should be an opportunity for us to pick up our 20th win. Although you can make a case that that's also a rivalry.
Well, it's not a gimme. I mean, they'll be competitive.
Yeah.
I think Carolina will win that game. But I don't think anything. It's at Wake Forest, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I don't think any road game in ACC is a gimme.
No, absolutely not. ACC's tough up and down the line. However, Winston-Salem, not that far from Chapel Hill.
Right.
So
there'll be a lot of Tar Heel fans in attendance.
They will travel, absolutely. And I think it's this happens every year, but this is the week where all 4 tobacco teams are playing each other. And then, as I mentioned, coming up on Wednesday, so just, what is that, 6 days from now, whatever it is, Carolina-Duke, first matchup. This time it's at Duke. And I'm going to ask you your opinion, but first I'm going to give you mine real quick. When we play them at Duke, they usually beat us. When they come to Chapel Hill, we usually beat them. I expect the same thing to happen. Unfortunately, I'm taking the Dukies.
I'm going with the Tar Heels. I'm all the way. They're going to sweep them this year, and it's not even going to be close.
Yeah, you know what? I hope you're right. It's just, man, you're talking about going on the road to places in the ACC.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I hope none tougher than Cameron Indoor.
Oh my gosh, it's a wild atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, it's Carolina Duke. It's the tradition. It's the rivalry.
That's right.
The students, they get up for it. The fans get up for it. Of course,
Krzyzewskiville was wild and insane that week.
Yeah, camping out for tickets.
That's right.
Obviously, they're right on top of you. The players obviously get up for it because of the history with it.
Yep.
Even if you're a guy like Zion, who's only going to be there for a year, they still get wrapped up in it, as they should, because it's part of that college tradition. So does that mean you're going to actually take the Tar Heels?
Oh, I'm taking the Tar Heels.
Right.
I was kidding about the blowout part. I'm taking them all the way.
Right. It would be something to blow them out.
It would.
In Durham.
That. Oh my gosh,
that'd be great. All right, we'll come back to UNC Duke next week once we've seen the Tar Heels beat them. Let's move to the NFL, and obviously we're done with the NFL, Super Bowl being over, but the offseason is in full swing, which means there's always plenty to talk about.
That's right.
So I wanted to start a little segment here called Good Idea, Bad Idea regarding the NFL offseason. So I'm going to run off some things here. You tell me whether it's a good idea or a bad idea for these players, teams, whatever it is, to do what they're going to do. Good idea or bad idea? The Rams should sign Coach Sean McVay to a contract extension right now.
How many years is his contract now?
He's got 3 years remaining on it.
Good idea.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Now, I know that, perhaps you don't want to get that far out ahead.
That's right.
But he took you to a Super Bowl in his second year.
Hey, he'll have more than a 3-year grace period just off what he did this year.
Yeah, and on top of that, Goff's still on his rookie contract. Right. I think they paid Gurley.
I think so.
If not, he's still on his rookie contract. Aaron Donald's been paid. A lot of these really good young guys that they have are either locked up or will be locked up.
The receiving core is, I think, pretty locked in too.
Yeah, so he's got a really good core around him, and I expect the Rams to be, I don't know in the Super Bowl discussion every year, but definitely in the playoff discussion. Good idea, bad idea. The Arizona Cardinals should trade their number 1 overall pick.
Bad idea.
Why?
That number 1 overall pick is just so precious to me. I wouldn't. Now, unless somebody came along like the Vikings in the early 90s and just gave you the store and gave you a top 10 pick plus all these great players and draft picks then. But, I mean, the number 1 pick, I have a hard time.
Is that the pick that was for Herschel Walker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Herschel Walker's still the MVP of those 3 Super Bowls for Dallas.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, because that got y'all Irving, Emmitt Smith.
It led to a lot of the players on that team. I mean, you go back and look at the steps Jimmy Johnson made afterwards. It was just amazing how many players. Darren Woodson, I think, eventually came from that trade. I mean, a lot of the pillars of that team.
Well, I hate to tell you, but you're making a case for my
for
side.
Trading it. I know, but you just don't find many teams like as dumb as
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the Browns.
That's true. I would say if you can find a taker, though, I would trade it away. If I'm the Cardinals, because they're basically taking it down to the studs, rebuilding for what an NFL team would call rebuilding. And I know they've got Josh Rosen under center, which we're actually going to talk about Josh Rosen here in just a few minutes. But I feel like they have so many holes in their roster.
I get that argument.
It'd be better to try to get 3 or 4 draft picks, even if it's like 1, first round, maybe 1 second round, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I understand. There's certainly a logical argument may be made for that.
All right, good idea, bad idea. The Falcons should make Julio Jones the highest paid wide receiver in the league.
Bad idea. I know we'll probably do. I love Julio Jones. However, I think sometime in that next contract, he's going to hit that wall. In my opinion.
Yeah, he probably could, and he's also had some injury. Some injuries in his history.
And I love him. I wish if he was a free agent, I'd love for the Panthers to jump on him.
Sure. Now he's actually got 2 years, $26.4 million remaining on his deal. Right. Now, if I'm the Falcons, I'm probably going to let that run out,
play out, and then see how he's doing.
And then see what he does over the next 2 years. The suggestion that was made is that they should pay him $20 million. They should re-sign him and up it to $20 million, making him the highest. Right now, Odell Beckham is the highest at $18 million.
Okay.
But currently, there's Odell calling.
Yeah.
Currently, Julio is actually like 11th in the league in pay per year, if you can believe that or not.
That is shocking.
Although I think he's making $14 million a year, so he's not that much further behind Odell.
Now you're talking if you could do $20 million for 2 years, then maybe. But if he renegotiated, he probably wouldn't settle for a 2-year deal.
Yeah, you know what happens when these numbers keep going up and up, and we've talked about it with quarterbacks, is you get to a point where you're paying one guy on your team so much money in a league that has a salary cap.
You're a salary cap poor.
Yeah, you give yourself less room to make other deals. So I don't know about that one either. I think that was actually a bad idea too. Here's one involving your Cowboys. Good idea, bad idea. The Cowboys should sign Dak Prescott to a long-term extension.
Yes, good idea. Good idea. I mean, his numbers are not great this year, but a lot of that first half of the year I blame on the Cowboys management for going for the receiver by committee approach. I think with the right pieces around him, he is the quarterback of the future for the Cowboys, and I also think he's a great leader.
Yeah, and eventually they're going to have to pay up for Ezekiel too.
Right. That's right.
And maybe Cooper. I don't know if he decides he wants to stay around in Dallas.
And I don't know how you do all that. Obviously, that's somebody way smarter than me trying to figure out how to negotiate salary cap. But you got to keep Prescott.
Yeah, they'll figure out the numbers.
Yeah.
Good idea, bad idea. The Las Vegas Raiders, as they will soon be, should make a legitimate run at Antonio Brown during the offseason.
Well,
talking about Cooper.
Good idea if you don't have to give up all those number 1 picks. The Raiders gave up a lot to get all those picks. I think, although they got roundly criticized this year for it, with a pretty good long-term plan. Gruden is a good coach. He didn't forget football. And I think if you hold on, I wouldn't give up all those number 1 picks to do it. And I know Antonio Brown's asking to be traded. But I'm not giving away the house for Antonio Brown. If they're 6-10 next year, Antonio Brown's whining to go away from the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then you don't have him, and you don't have the draft picks.
Yeah, the Raiders have 4 picks in the first 36 selections.
I mean, that's a great haul.
However, they had to give up Khalil Mack.
Yeah, they gave up
and Cooper to get them.
Right. They gave away the house.
They did. I agree. I think there's some people that are saying Gruden's been away too long. I don't know if that's true. I think Derek Carr can be a franchise quarterback.
I do too. I like Derek Carr.
And I know he had a down year, but look what was around him.
I mean, Tom Brady would have had a down year with what Derek Carr played with in Oakland.
I agree. So I think it would be a good idea if they could get Brown, but not if they have to give up all 4 of those picks. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. Good idea, bad idea. The Chargers need to draft a quarterback this year.
Good idea. I love Phillip Rivers. We talked about him a lot. We've talked about him a lot on this show. I was really pulling for him to make a deeper playoff run than what he did. However, he's 37 years old, I believe. It's time to at least look at it. If the right guy falls in your lap when your draft pick comes up, you gotta at least think about it.
Yeah. I didn't realize this till I looked it up. The Chargers haven't drafted a quarterback since some guy named Brad Sorensen in the 7th round. In the 7th round of the 2013 draft.
Oh wow! So that shows you how committed they've been to Rivers.
Yeah, and it feels like Rivers is following in Brady's footsteps, where these guys are just going to play forever.
That's right.
But eventually, you got to look towards the future, right?
Even the Patriots did it with Garoppolo. Yeah. And Brady surprised them by playing into his 40s, and they got rid of him, rightfully so, and stuck with Brady. However, it's not going to last forever.
No. Yeah, I think that's a good idea for them. 2 more here. Good idea, bad idea. The Jaguars should trade up to land their top quarterback in the draft this year.
Who is our quarterback?
Exactly. It's Blake Bortles.
Yeah, that's right. Good idea. If they could get up there and get Murray from Oklahoma, I think he's a potentially a great quarterback. A couple of the other ones in there are pretty good, too.
Yeah, the name that I've seen thrown out is them going after Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
Now, they probably have to get into the top 10 to make that happen, but I think that's what they're talking about here.
Haskins projected to be the first quarterback taken?
You know, that's
Depends
kind
on
of
who
a
you
toss
ask.
up right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, those names are all over the place.
I know that's who Kuiper said, but I heard Herbstreit say he thought Murray would be the first pick.
Yeah.
Murray, first quarterback pick.
Absolutely.
Maybe not first overall pick.
I think that's what they need to do, though. I feel like the Jaguars, now I know they went all in, getting a lot of free agents.
That's
a lot of
right.
those, they're like trying to move on from.
Yeah.
But I feel like they still got some pieces there.
Yeah,
if they could have a
they're
legit
not
quarterback.
horrible.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I feel like the AFC South is there for the taking.
It's
too.
winnable. That's right.
So, speaking of the AFC South, here's our last one. The Houston Texans should sign Le'Veon Bell. Good idea, bad idea?
Good idea.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of gas in the tank. He is a drama.
Yeah.
But he's an upgrade. And depending on what the contract looks like when you get done. If it's incentive laden, and if he comes out, if he gets there and shows out, and you can cut him with not a lot of loss, then take a shot at him on a 2-year deal.
Yeah, and this is exactly why the Jaguars need to go get a quarterback, because if you put Le'Veon Bell, in the running back position with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, DeAndre Hopkins on the outside as your wide receiver, and a defense led by J.J. Watt, and potentially Clowney if they can re-sign him.
I think they'll re-sign Clowney.
That's a really good team.
That's a good base.
Yeah, you got some cornerstones.
And Deshaun Watson's a leader and a winner, man. I think they are right there knocking on the doorstep, and that move, Bell, would really be an upgrade for them, obviously.
Absolutely. All right, so that's going to do it for that. Let's finish up the show here. Let's go to Love It or Hate It.
All right.
So I've got like 20 of them.
All right,
it's going to take a while.
All right.
Let's head to the NBA. The 76ers traded their former number 1 pick, Markelle Fultz, to the Magic. Love it or hate it?
Love it. They don't need him.
No, they don't. I feel like they're past the process now.
That's right.
They brought in Jimmy Butler. It seems like Fultz. I mean, he's a good player. He's been injured a few times, but maybe he'll do better in a different place.
And it might be good for everybody involved.
Yeah. Now, I know we talked last week, moving on, about how the Hornets were supposed to trade for Marc Gasol.
Didn't happen.
That didn't happen. He ended up in Toronto instead. So, Marc Gasol to the Raptors. Love it or hate it?
Well, hate it. Only because I thought the Hornets were going to make a play for him and try to commit to winning more now. And from what I read, said the price just got too steep for them. They didn't want to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, like the Raptors are a better team than the Hornets, so this was a chance for them to go for it.
Yeah, good move for Gasol and the Raptors.
Yeah, however, I'm with you. I mean, these are the kind of moves that the Hornets need to make.
That's right.
Otherwise, they're just going to keep idling.
Well, 2 years from now, we're on the show talk about Nick Batum.
Yeah, they're going to just keep staying in that number 6, 7, 8 seed.
Yeah. Kupchak was at the game with Jordan the other night, so I'm hoping Kupchak will turn him around, but he's got to get out of salary cap hell first.
I know, and we talk about it every week. I feel like having Batum and some of these contracts, they got to get past them first.
That's right.
Another reason why they need to just take it down to the studs.
Yep.
Anyway, MLB is going to be changing the name of the disabled list to the injury list. Love it or hate it?
Hate it. Why?
I don't know. I think it's more of they don't want to offend anybody, because none of the players are technically disabled, so they're going to change it to the injury list. Okay. I think
if somebody's offended by the disabled list, they're looking
someone out there is though.
They're looking to be offended.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right.
And you know what? From here on out, I'm still going to call it the DL.
That's right. the IL.
Yeah, that doesn't roll off the tongue. It'll always be the DL to me.
That's right.
Sorry. Moving forward, talking about baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies made another move since we last met.
Yep.
Traded for JT Realmuto, the dynamic catcher, former Miami Marlin, for catcher Jorge Alfonso, who was actually part of the Cole Hamels deal with the Rangers. Pitcher, and I love this guy's name, Sixto Sanchez.
What a great name.
Pitcher Will Stewart, and an international bonus slot. So the Phillies traded for Realmuto. Love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Yeah,
because of what it means for the Braves.
Same reason.
I know I had just seen it come across the wire right before you texted me and told me about that last week, and I thought, man, that's one that could potentially hurt the Braves.
Here's what got me. Now, I don't know these players as well as I know the Braves players, but I was sitting here thinking we could have offered this.
We could
have, or the equivalent of this.
Yeah, we could. From everything I read, the Braves farm system is loaded, and we got some good young. And as bad as I would hate to see Dansby Swanson go, but you throw in a package with Dansby Swanson and all that young talent.
Yeah. I mean, we have 9 players in the top 100.
That's right.
On the farm.
That deal could have happened had they wanted to happen.
Yeah, and I know Alfonso was a top player like 4 years ago, and I don't know much about the Sixto guy or the Will Stewart guy. We could have thrown in a bonus slot.
That's right.
I don't know. I feel like perhaps, I don't know. It just feels like they were asking much, much more from every other team.
Yep, and then that looked doable.
Yeah. Also, this isn't technically on the love it or hate it list, but talking about the Miami Marlins and their train wreck of a franchise for the last 25 years, of the Marlins' top 25 all-time players listed by WAR, they've traded away 23 of them. Isn't that crazy?
That's an awesome stat.
That's just, like, how can you do that?
I don't know. That's like, okay, this works. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah. and I mean, I can't remember who the other one is, but one of them is Mike Lowe, who wasn't even an original. You know, he was a Marlin, but he didn't come up in their system. So I mean, they don't really have any homegrown talent that they've kept throughout their career.
That's a truly an amazing stat.
I think it just goes to show you they need to get it together down there in Miami, or move them to Charlotte.
That's right.
But they won't do that because they built that brand new stadium. Moving forward, we just heard about this one yesterday. I don't even know if you know about this one. The Ravens traded Joe Flacco to the Broncos.
I did hear about that. I tell you what, I love that. And for Lamar Jackson, first of all, and I love it for Flacco. And Elway's gotten, have you read everything in the few days since the trade? Elway has been crucified for this move.
Yeah, I know that, you know, on big boards, everybody was assuming that they said he had fell in love with Missouri quarterback Drew Lock at the combine, and that was going to be the pick. That was like the one pick that everybody was sure of. Goes to show you, nobody knows what they're talking about.
That's right. And you know what? I still think, I mean, Denver's not that far removed from a Super Bowl win.
No.
I don't know what their line looks like. The one thing this does for Denver is if there's a more glaring need in the draft, they can address it now. Because Flacco, although Flacco, we talked about it on the show, was certainly not what he used to be.
Right.
But he's still only 34. He's got a couple years left. He's 98-67 as a starter in NFL.
That's pretty good. I know I would have liked to have seen him in a Redskins uniform if we could trade for him. Yeah, the thing here may be the downside to it though. The Broncos, between Flacco, he's got a big salary, and Case Keenum, they're now on the hook for $30 million
for two quarterbacks,
and no real long-term plan under center.
Yeah, and I get the argument, and I feel sure they'll try to move Keenan, or maybe even talk one of them into taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean,
I'd ask Flacco.
That's right, and I think he probably would.
Yeah, I do find it interesting, and I feel like we called this. As soon as Lamar Jackson took over the job, we were like, Flacco's done, right? We all said yes.
We all said that. Right here on Flacco said Flacco's done with the Ravens.
And that ended up being the case.
And he handled it with class, too, Flacco did.
Of course he did. And, I mean, he's got a Super Bowl ring already.
That's right.
So, and I know that was a while ago, but still, he's still got something left in the tank.
That's right.
And I think with the Broncos defense, they'll be able to do something.
If they can run the ball and protect him, I think he'll be an upgrade over anything they've had since Peyton Manning retired, for sure.
All right. Moving forward, we're going to go down to the high school level, talking about football. The 40-second play clock and postseason instant replay option is among high school football rule changes coming up. So I guess, for instance, the Raiders would go to the playoffs, and you would have an option to have instant replay in the postseason only, and also up the clock to 40 seconds.
Hate both of them, actually. Get the play in, get off. And leave the human element in a high school game.
The 40-second clock, I could take or leave that. I don't really care about that. The postseason instant replay option, I think to most people, initially they think, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And then you think about the logistics of it. How many high schools out there have an instant replay board, like a screen? Or then you got to think about the fact that now you got to have a centralized location where the refs have to go to the box, and just like they do it at the NFL level. I just feel like it's going to slow the game down even more.
That's right. I just hate that.
Yeah, I think that's one they need to not worry about. Yeah. Going back to the NFL, the Cleveland Browns signed Kareem Hunt. Believe it or not.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it. And I said on this show a few weeks ago, I believe in second chances, but I believe it's too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon. I mean, let this thing play out before we start talking about second chances and reinstatements. He's 24. He just got cut.
Yeah. I mean,
he just got cut this year.
4 months ago, if that.
I mean, it's way too soon to be putting him back on an NFL roster.
It definitely feels that way. And I know I said it last time, but I always go back to Ray Rice. And I know Ray was older, but the circumstances are very similar. And Ray Rice was ostracized from football.
That's right.
And I don't know. It just kind of irks me that, you can – it seems like you can beat your wife and you can drive drunk and you've always got a job in the NFL. Right. But if you smoke pot, you're gone.
That's right, man. Out of here, buddy. That's right.
I never understood that. Speaking of football, the Panthers re-signed Eric Reed to a 3-year deal. Love it or hate it?
I'm going to go hate it, but not for the reason everybody thinks. I don't think he helps you as much as everybody says he does.
Okay.
I don't think they won a single game after they signed him.
Really? You know what? You're right. Yeah. Now that I think about
So,
that.
So if he's truly, I read the article as soon as they signed him and talked about what an upgrade he would be over safety position. If you're not stopping anybody, go draft a safety for a third of the price.
I hadn't even thought about that. You're right. They went on like a 6 or 7 game losing streak to end the season.
I don't think they won a game after they signed him.
No, they were 6-2, signed him, and then ended up, 7-9?
They did win the last game of the year against the Saints when everybody was sitting.
Yeah, everybody was sitting for New Orleans.
So I forgot about that.
I didn't even think about that. So. I personally, I don't really care because I'm not a Panthers fan. I do like the fact, though, there was the whole controversy. He was one of the ones that got wrapped up in the Kaepernick kneeling for the anthem thing. Right. It felt like he was going to be another one that wasn't going to get signed because of that, whether people want to admit it or not. So with that being said, I like the fact that the Panthers or any team
looked at his ability.
Said, you know what, who cares about that? We're going to move past it. Perhaps it could bring a NFL future back for Colin Kaepernick.
And I do like that part of it, and I hated to say I hate it.
I get it, though,
because I just don't think he helps your team as much as everybody says.
And that's what it should ultimately boil down to. You know, it's not who you prefer as president or which side you lean. It's about playing football on the field.
Right. So. That's right.
Talking about the NFL, and this is what I was going to say, we're going to talk about Josh Rosen. Okay. There is talk that the Patriots could trade for Josh Rosen to be Brady's eventual backup, and it has the Cardinals taking Kyler Murray number 1 overall.
I love it. Rosen said, guy wasn't Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Said this week, Josh Rosen's our guy, but I didn't believe him for 1 second.
It's not his guy.
No, it's not his guy. He just got the job. And that's a Bill. I haven't heard that. That's got Bill Belichick written all over. That's just the kind of genius move he would make and turn Rosen into a superstar.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everybody wins. Arizona gets their guy.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. Yeah. If I'm the Cardinals and you decide to keep that pick, if you could work it out before the actual draft, you say, all right, we'll trade you, Josh Rosen for whatever they want to. Bill Belichick wants to send back, and we're going to take Kyler Murray. That's a win-win for everybody.
That's right, because Arizona still keeps their draft pick, and they get a great piece with Kyler Murray, and they could probably get the Patriots number 1 pick. Granted, that's probably the last pick in the first round.
Yeah, but still,
it's a first round pick. Gets you 2 first round picks.
Absolutely, and as I mentioned earlier, the Cardinals need as many picks as they possibly can to fill some roster holes. So maybe that gets you an extra pick as well. Let's go back to baseball. Bryce Harper has said that he will not consider a short-term deal. Love it or hate it.
Love it. I hope he sits out next year if he's not playing in Atlanta.
I feel like that's where we're headed, isn't it?
That's right. Go to Atlanta or sit home. I don't care.
We have been on here week after week after week for what feels like months saying they haven't signed yet. They haven't signed yet. I mean, we're less than a week from pitchers and catchers.
That's right. It's soon to start. And you know what? Harper may not need spring training like everybody else does, but I still think he needs to. If he's going to a new team, he needs it.
Yeah.
To get acclimated with his new team.
And you know what? It's not even he and Machado. It's the other guys that are waiting for those two dominoes
because
to fall.
Other teams are not going to sign players to see who gets those other guys.
So, I mean, you're talking about a dozen guys, like well-known guys that are also sitting out there with no home yet.
That's right.
So, I don't know. How long do you think this goes? I mean, again, I talked to Scott Emerson a couple of days ago. They're heading, the A's are heading to Scottsdale Sunday. So, I mean, it's here.
Wow. God, it's here.
It's time. Yep. It's time for them to do that. And, I mean, they'll be playing games in a month, basically. Wow. Yep. A little over a month. Yep. But, I mean, how far does this go?
I don't know. I think somebody's going to fold. I think somebody's going to offer him a long-term deal. Or as we get closer to the end of the season and Harper starts thinking about – now, of course, Harper doesn't need the money this year.
Right.
Because I'm sure he's got plenty sitting in the bank where he can sit home. However, he's going. I think he'll sign.
Now, Machado hasn't come out and said the same, so he may potentially say,
Machado.
I'll take a 2-year, $60 million deal or whatever, maybe more than that. But all right, Anthony Davis. There was all the talk about was he going to go to the Lakers? Was he not? As we know now, he did not. Yeah. He was greeted with boos in his return to the Pelicans.
And he played great in that game. Did you see the game he came back? Oh, my gosh, he was so good that night. And they booed him, and then he made a shot, and they started cheering.
Exactly.
Winning cures a lot of things. Now, it hasn't gone as well this week since then for him. He was 1 of 9 the other night in a game and was criticizing his teammates. However, he's going to come out and give you the effort every night.
Yeah, and there was talk that they were going to sit him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, which
he didn't want to do that. No, he wanted to come out and play.
And I'm glad they're playing him.
Yeah, and I admire that. However, I know we talked about it either last week before last, but I feel like some of these players in the small markets have too much power.
Yes, I 100% agree.
And in that regard, I kind of understand why they booed him a little bit. It was like, you know what? You don't want to be here. We don't want you here.
That's right. Oh, I get the booing. It's their right to booing.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as I talk about the Hornets needing to break everything down, you know who doesn't get booed is Kemba Walker because he wants to be there, even though the Hornets are never going anywhere. I keep coming back to that.
Come on, Jordan.
2 more here before we finish up Love It or Hate It. ESPN's Dan Graziano is picking the Cleveland Browns to win the AFC North next year.
Love it. Let's go big or go home.
Right? I mean, it's really not that crazy of a pick anymore.
If they have the improvement they had this year that they had this past year, the same amount of wins, they'll be right there in.
Yeah. If Baker had a great season as a rookie, if he improves, and as much as Kareem Hunt probably shouldn't be playing, he's still a really good running back.
Very talented.
You've got guys on the defense like Myles Garrett, Jabril Peppers, all these guys they've drafted. Of course, they've got the upcoming draft.
Yep.
I mean, who knows what's going on with Lamar Jackson? Is he going to regress or get better? We don't know. The Steelers, it's like Desperate Housewives.
That's
in
right.
Pittsburgh.
It's a soap opera right now.
Yeah, and and then you got the Bengals who have a new staff coming in. So I mean, it could be
that
could be the Browns' time.
Why
to
not
pounce.
them?
Yeah. All right. And finally, going back to basketball, a bat at an Indiana Pacers game may have exposed some of the people there to rabies, health officials say.
Oh, wow.
Love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Yeah, right.
Hate it for the players. And, wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, now, I had to check up on this because I was like, that's a terrible promotion. Why would you have a bat in the building? Come to find out, it somehow snuck in there.
Okay.
And some people were, like, trying to swat it away with towels and whatnot. And health officials said if you touched it with your bare skin, go get a rabies shot, just to make sure. Yeah. But hopefully nobody's got rabies, and if you do, go get that checked out. But I thought that was still kind of funny. So, all right, that's going to do it for this edition of The Rundown. Hopefully when we come back this time next week, it'll be a Tar Heel victory.
That's right, go Tar Heels.
Over Duke. Not that we have any bias or anything.
Yeah, no.
So, but that's going to do it. For Brand Fall, I'm Matt Harrelson. We'll see you back here next week for another edition of The Ross Rundown.